Hi. It's the end of the gardening season for us. It's kind of a short season where we're at, but it was a fun learning experience. I realized this season that we're a trial and error gardening where we don't do a ton of research. We just jump in with both feet and figure out what it is that we want to do. A couple of the new experiments this year were the bed, the raised bed, the potatoes, and the onions. The onions did really well. The potatoes were a very good learning experience. We're not going to do it the same way next time, but we are going to do them again. And the onions, those were just great. The beans were kind of strange, and as we all know, beans are weird.
Mm-hmm. But they are good.
They are good.
Yeah.
And we had 2 or 3 types of beans.
I think we had 2.
So we had the Blue Lake beans.
That's that one.
And the French fillet. And the French fillet seemed to produce a lot of beans in bigger batches.
Yeah.
But the blue bush beans didn't really seem to be all that healthy, but produced an okay crop. I would not say they were prolific like the French fillet. So I think maybe next year we'll do all French fillet.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good idea?
Sure.
So that was it was fun to get them. It was fun to. That was the first stuff that we ate out of the garden. I think were the French fillet beans. The pepper plants. They never got really healthy, but we ended up getting quite a few peppers out of them. They were a lot of smaller ones. They weren't really big, but they seemed to be pretty healthy, except for one plant. One plant was a little bit ill, and I don't know what to do about this next year to make them a little bit healthier.
I think they were healthy. They just didn't grow big. So the plants look healthy. The peppers just didn't grow big. But we got a lot, and they're in the freezer.
Yeah, we did, and what did we do with them? We not shrunk wrap them. we vacuum packed them.
We sliced them and vacuum packed.
Yeah, the vacuum seal. We did a lot of that with it, and the peppers were pretty fun. And we had 3 kinds of bell peppers and a poblano pepper, and the poblano pepper was pretty happy and made a lot of peppers. A lot of them were small. I think they're usually 5 inches.
Something like that. And there weren't very many of them that were quite that big, but there were quite a few peppers on them, and we did the same thing with those. We have eaten some of those, but most of them got vacuum packed and put in the freezer so that we'll be able to use these all year long. Which is the whole point.
Whole point, right? We don't really produce enough garden to sustain us all year long. I think fertilizer might be a little bit in order for these things. They seem to. I never did find out why the leaves on some of them turned upside down. I couldn't really determine if they were watered enough or not. They did seem to perk up as the later in the season when a lot of rain came about, so maybe there just wasn't quite enough water. And then they tilted over, so I'm going to put some more support in them next time.
Okay. I liked them.
They were fun. They were good.
Probably the best pepper crop we ever got.
They were. And we got quite a load of them there at the end.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. The tomatoes, it's quite a story. The Amish paste tomatoes didn't really produce much of anything. I think we got a total of maybe 4 ripe tomatoes off of it, and they weren't very big. I think the problem with the tomatoes, like I've said in earlier videos, is that there wasn't enough fertilizer. I don't think the soil that we got was that great, and the fertilizer that I did put in when we potted them and planted them might not have been the right fertilizer for them. So next time they're going to be in the bed, and they're going to be more fertilized earlier in the process. And it could have been watering also. I'm not 100% sure.
Overall, I think we did pretty decent with the things that we got, considering the recreational nature of our garden.
If you're looking for someone to save the world,
We're not going to save the
we're not
world.
gonna do it.
So to fill up the bed, I put a bunch of cardboard in the bottom of it. That seems to be popular. The worms like to eat the cardboard, and I got some cardboard that didn't have printing on it and layered that in the bottom, and then took some craft lumber, solid maple, that's in the bottom, because they say some softwood and some hardwood, and then I put some branches from a pine tree that's behind us in it. And on top of that, then I put about 2/3 of our compost pile that we've been nursing or composting all year and last year. We've been composting a lot more regularly this year. And that was, I don't know, maybe 1/3 of it filled up with that. And then the tomato plants went into it, and the bean plants and pepper plants. Last year I put our peonies in it, but I've heard that you really shouldn't do that with peony plants. You shouldn't compost them at all. So this year it is just going to be the compost pile and then the remnants of the rest of the garden. And after we got all that packed down and kind of covered up with the compost, it was time to put in the buckets. And we didn't film bringing the buckets down. That was a lot of work. It took us a little bit of time. But there was 8 buckets from the tomatoes that went into it, and you can see they have pretty decent roots that went all the way to the bottom and pretty solid, kept it together pretty well. And then after that, the potato dirt. And then the fun part, cleaning all of the buckets out, getting the dirt out so we can put them away for the winter. And then my son came over, and we got a couple of tarps and tarped them up to keep the rain and the snow and the critters and stuff out of it, to just prepare them for winter and getting them ready for spring. Next spring we'll get some more soil we'll put into them, and we'll be ready to go.
Maybe do a soil test.
Maybe do a soil test. But it was a good year. It was a fun year. A lot of interesting things this past year. So thanks for sticking with us through this, and we'll look forward to it again next year.
Yep.
Bye. Just did.
Try not to do hi. So, hi.
Hello. Quiet on the set.